Welcome to the third session of second course. Today we're going to talk about the definition of kuye kharabat, ibadat, fulfillment, the mission of servitude. We're going to talk about why humans are the highest in creation, the task description of animals, plants, and humans. We're going to talk about the definition of collective spirit, Halgheh of general collective mind, and definition of special collective spirit. And we're gonna receive the protective layer for the cosmic Hamphazine collective spirit. And I'll be discussing how we can use it and what are the differences between other halghas discussed later. We're gonna talk about a concept called becoming kharabati, and kharabat is a term used in Erfan, and we can translate it as destruction and the destruction phase. And Kuya Kharabat is basically a destruction alley. So for individuals that are moving through Irfanic journey toward Kamal, and they're seeking the truth and Ma'rifat, which is divine knowledge, when their eyes of their heart opens and they are able to see the truth, they can see the actuality of existence, which is the manifestations, the divine manifestations that actualized and manifested in all the manifestations. And they can also see the truth of that. So, in a way, uh, they are able to see the actuality of existence and truth of existence simultaneously. And that's linked to a concept and a notion of the attribute we discussed earlier called rend. We talked about a rend as a person that is able to see these both aspects at the same time, and also is able to see the uh, different qualities and aspects of existence, is able to have a balance between the step of logic and the step of ishq. We talked about this before. So considering such a achievement, accessing such a truth in a quality um, oriented and experienced way, it is not a type of accomplishment that it could be achieved in just one step, and there is no ending point in that journey, uh, because it's a continuous eternal journey that it is essential for the individual that is rend to continuously moving towards sublimity, and in each stage uh, achieve more elevated quality of the divine knowledge, marifat, and becoming a rend. So in this way, in his Irfanic journey, he's continuously uh, becoming renewed and reborn into a new quality and higher qualities. But there's an important factor, and that is for each of this transformation, uh, the individual needs a destruction, and it's a downfall, it's a dissension in a way. And for each of this renewal, for each construction, there's a requirement for this destruction and then going down uh, to be able to go higher above the initial level. So for this reason, this destruction and construction is really essential and repetitive aspects of the journey of Arif. And the common name in Irfanic literature that is referred to this journey is that destruction alley. And you can see it, this chart, that the growth of the seeker, Arif, in the journey is not linear. It has this valleys and downhills that individuals feels like they're going up and up and up, and elevates their overall quality of existence, their perceptions, uh, their enlightenment, the qualities that they feel, and suddenly they feel like they're reversing or relapsing to the initial points or to a less optimal point. And again, this is basically a destructionality that is an initiation of another higher point, a journey that leads to more sublimation, more elevated quality. So, in such a journey, every time the seeker is challenged to set aside the old thoughts, the spoiled worldviews, the approaches that has to be replaced by a more corrected or expansive and aligned views and operation. Rumi also have a poetry says like for every old building that it needs to be that it becomes um, constructed, isn't it that first it needs to be destructed? The old building needs to be destructed. And for this relationship, there are always downfalls for an initiation for a higher aim. So there are levels that individuals achieve, the qualities that they really experience, and they feel this relapses or downfalls, and then after it's just another level of accomplishments by persistence, perseverance, and consistency. So for each of these heights of achievements, there's always this destruction valleys that individuals would encounter in their journey. And we can see there's this sequential destruction and construction, one after the other, that makes the person becoming a new person and consequently going from a lower level of Kamal to the higher level of Kamal. So for each of the motion in the journey of Kharabat, in the destruction alley, it is necessary for multiple deaths to happen for the individuals so that they can find a higher level of Kamal each time. And the reason behind this Erfanic death is receiving revelations, epiphanies, and awarenesses that is Kamal oriented in the journey, that often in the Erfanic poetries is referred to as a wine that makes the Arif drunk from uh, this, which is coming from the divine source. So it's a metaphor for this um, illuminating wine or ecstasy that comes as a result of a awareness that destroys the individuals to be ready for a higher levels of quality achievement. So these awarenesses are kind of like a pillars and the towers of um, individuals that can destroy the other ones to be able to go higher, and also empty the heart of the ones for the love of God to be able to exist. So the treasure box up within is accessible only by such realizations. So individuals need to go through a process of having their worldview, perceptions, and assumptions of what they know and how they relate to the world. And through that destructions, the whole new approach and whole new understanding can arise and transform the individuals in a quality level. The other reasons that um, we look at the importance of such a transformation, and kind of looking at it in this chart is because individuals often imagine this growth in a way that they expect it to be linear and always going up, and there's no downs. And then as soon as there's a down, the individuals get hopeless or anxious about whether something's being done fundamentally wrong, or if they're being left alone, or uh, they are going to the negative state as a result of such an experience. But it's important to understand this graphs and charts and law surrounding this organic and natural aspects of the journey. So when these stages happens, we know that you're being challenged to be prepared for a higher heights, and not necessarily we are kind of completely deviated from the journey, and somehow, let's say, the halakha doesn't work, or God doesn't love us, or doesn't support us, or we completely fail and there's no hope for recovery. So it's very important to understand these uh, downhills, these pitfalls, these valleys, that it's natural to have it in the journey, and we can't expect the linear, ever increasing, ascending type of journey when we are in the journey of Camel. The next thing we're going to talk about is the consequence of Erfanic motion. And in the Erfanic motion, this spiritual journey, seeking in the spiritual lands, there are a lot of great factors of transformation that would systematically target the specific constituent layers of humans' existence in a certain way. And the necessity of that is for the parts to be aligned with each other, and it would also align with the other aspects of existence. It also increases the capacity and improves the individual's characteristic and personality, and causes this worldview transformation and alignment, giving this ma'rifat or divine knowledge to the individual. So the collection of all these transformation would change the regular human being to a magnificent human being that um, through the life, they're utilizing that illumination, that understanding, that um, epiphanies to experience feelings and experience um, notions that it transforms them to a manifestation of God. Their actions, their being become divine and godly, full of passion and unconditional love and ishq and ecstasy. So these transformations can be very transformative and change individuals' life for better in multiple aspects of life. So part of this transformation in the Erfanic journey that is acquired is not only would put balance in the different constituent layers of humans' existence, but also it increases the possibility and availability of epiphanies and revelations and awarenesses. And from this point, the continuation in the motion is very fundamental, has a fundamental importance. But another aspects that are related to the divine transformation and transformational matter is that receiving awareness and understanding uh, that transforms individuals on an existential level is very important. So, in general, the consequence of Erfanic motion can be categorized in two main subcategories. One is the fundamental consequences, and there are marifat based consequences or divine knowledge consequences. But before everything, before going further, it is important to understand the significance of this notion. And for this reason, we should really understand the human's task description, understanding that in comparison to the task descriptions of animals and plants and other beings in the existence, and understanding really well why humans are the magnificent creation or the important creation, and why they're set aside comparing to any other creation that exists in the universe. So in this way, we can understand and become aware of the relationship between the Erfanic achievements and this particular special status in the existence. So in order for us to understand that better, we can look at this graphs, and on the x-axis, we see the time, and then on the y-axis, we see the score. This represents how well uh, something is operating based on the task description and the purpose of creation across time. And we can see that for plants and animals, it's just basically on a zero line, and also doesn't change as time passes by. And that is because there's a very specific predetermined type of operation for plants and animals that they don't have a free will to not operate like that. So, for example, like an apple tree always going to be an apple tree. It can't just decide to be an orange tree, or a lion can't suddenly decide to hang out with deer. So there are specific instinctual software that is given to animals and plants that it's operating in a very specific way. Now, for the human beings, is also like that. There are a lot of instinctual um, behaviors and operations. For example, the protectiveness of a mother toward their child, or the supportiveness of a father toward their child, or the type of relationships that comes, let's say, between the parents and children dynamic that we also observe in animals. So there are specific operations that we see that it's noticeable on an instinctual level, in an animal level, and a plant level, but there are some behaviors that are exclusive to human being. So for human being, they also have like a task description that um, they would have to kind of abide by certain standards to kind of live up to that human level authenticity and integrity. Sometimes that's defined on a sociocultural level, but in general, there are many different laws and principles that could be based on many different things. It could be natural, it could be religious based, it could be sociocultural, and abiding by those rules in and of itself, it's not really an art, and it's just based on a task description and doesn't have a positive score. So when a human being is operating based on that task description, the score is zero. And um, it is only when they operate above those task description that is not many times so evident that it becomes like a positive score. And we will talk about what type of operation it would be considered a positive score. So any type of operation that is instinctual or is as a result of a logical consideration and respect to certain rules of the society to kind of uphold to the standard basic human dignity is basically zero. And this lack of value for doing these task description, um, it doesn't prove that they are intrinsically uh, not valuable, but rather it just pointing to the fact that they're not enough. And it would feel like human being would be satisfied just to get to the level of animals operation where they are just concerned about an instinctual level, feeding themselves, having a family, procreate, and so on. But there is not much more than that. And that type of operation really doesn't manifest or doesn't go toward the embodiment of the full potential of human being and their purpose of creation. So it's very important for us to understand what is the purpose of creation, why are we here, and what type of qualities and operations should have been embodied and manifested for us to operate above that zero line. So going back to type of operation that we see in plants and animals, comparing to ordinary people, we see that uh, plants and animals having specific software and only being equipped by that software and not being able to operate either above the line or below the line. They just keeping them operating on a zero line because like the lion cannot be a better lion. It's just perfect the way it is. The plant is also like that. An apple tree is just a perfect apple tree. It can't be uh, more of an apple tree or less of an apple tree. There's no such a definition of one tree being less of an apple tree than the other tree. We only can basically maybe quantify their uh, rate of production, food production, but that doesn't really mean much about their intrinsic value, whether one is being better than the other on a quality level. So no plants or animals can surpass their task description that is predefined and predetermined. But for human beings that have um, free will and the ability to actually surpass certain level of task description is completely different. Even for angels, which are the administrators and agents of natural laws on a quality level, they also cannot really operate um, above or below their task description. So they can only operate as the task that is defined. So even them, they have a very specific constant type of operation. And as a result, they don't have uh, high activity or hyperactivity or hypoactivity in a way in relationship to their task description. But as we know, human beings are capable of going to extreme negative, embodying attributes that even animals don't do, passing really, really negative, evil lines and embodying the most negative aspects that is possible. That also it could go way above the line and embody positive attributes and go to a certain operation that we won't see something like that in an animals or anything like that. So it is really important to understand that the difference. Sorry, someone open the mic again. Please make sure that your mics are closing when you enter for the sake of disruption of the video. I appreciate it to be mindful of that, especially in an English class. Thank you. So And I don't know who's the host. If anyone that is the host could be always careful with muting people if they forget um, opening their mic, closing their mic. I appreciated that. It's just make it difficult for people editing the video. So now, if you pay attention to humans' actions, we see that we kind of encounter a very unfortunate situation, which we observe nowadays in the world as well. There are a lot of poverty, starvation, uh, inequality, a lot of unfortunate situation as a result of uh, non-harmonious operation on a collective level, and that comes as a result of the lack of awareness of why we are here, and that selflessness that would come as a result of such a awareness. We talked about how if we become aware of the fact that we are the cells of one body and hurting one would basically hurting ourselves, then we would not be able to do such a thing. But lack of that kind of awareness, it results individuals self-centerism and selfishness to the point that they're willing to go and pass many lines just to fulfill certain things that they are looking for to benefit their self-interest. So when we see certain individuals that they don't betray someone, they don't lie, they don't steal, they don't do these typical negative things, we often give them a positive score, but in fact, they're in a zero line because we weren't supposed to be a liar. And if you're not, then we should get a positive score. We were not supposed to be a liar anyway, so that's a zero. That's like a task description. So not being a liar or someone that betrays or someone that steals or someone that cheats. So things like that, these are zero line. And now, when we want to talk about the higher level of um, sublimity or operating above the line, then we just encounter the question that what are those certain attributes and operations that help us to operate above the zero line and above the task description. Now, in this picture, you see ordinary people comparing to animals and plants because we usually are, first of all, when we're a child, we're more innocent and we're operating on a zero level because we still haven't developed the logic to be mischievous. But as soon as we kind of develop that, it could be very early on. We see that we going above, below the line, and then the more inferior individuals are operating lower, and then usually people are fluctuating up and down between, and then that's how they operate. This is a typical human being. And this is another chart kind of showing the difference between plants and animals, score ordinary individuals and inferior individuals, and then sublime humans. So this is a typical one, kind of going up and down below the line to the certain distance between the x-axis and the line. And then we have the inferior people that are really going down. And then, if you remember, we talked about this law of reflection that the more individuals show enthusiasm towards certain attributes, that amplifies and gets more. And that is what we observe here as well. So the more they show enthusiasm, the more they get. And here, the people that they're choosing the path of Kamal, even though that they're operating initially below the line, but at some point they do their best and kind of crawl their way up on the positive side and then start going up. And in Erfan Halgheh, as you know, we believe that those type of attributes and operations, it comes as a result of um, epiphany and revelation, and that comes also embodied only with the help of God through the connections in Ittisal to the cosmic to consciousness network. So anything that we're talking about here to achieve an equality level, we will be relying on the um, connection and Ittisal to God. So now there are certain tricks of negative intelligence network, or another word, Satan's, that many of the people would think that a generous father, a caring mother, um, selfless mother, or a selfless friend, these are positive and enough type of qualities for humanity. And a lot of people might argue that, we don't need to think about spirituality. Humanity, being a good human is I've heard some people saying like, being a human is my religion. And that basically what they're saying, according to this type of modeling, is that they're saying like, I would operating in a zero line is enough, is my religion, and that's my aim. And when we assess it in this way, what they're saying is that operating the bare minimum, just like plants, would be enough, and that would be sufficient. We know based on this definition and modeling in comparison, that's not enough, because if it was enough, then there would be no necessity for human beings to be created. God could just create a bunch of animals and plants and, you know, have it resolved. But that doesn't really give the value that human being um, can accomplish, and that is to have the ability of choose between good and evil, have the ability to make mistakes, be tempted and all that, and be deficient, and be have the inclination to go in the wrong way, and that be more easier than the other, but yet choose the right path, yet seek the truth, and then be perseverance, have the perseverance, and be persistent on the journey to embody those higher attributes. So one of the tricks of Satan is to make people or convince people that just living to a normal human being, that zero line is enough. So if someone doesn't steal or get bribes, or doesn't lie or cheat or gossip or betray, then that's it. They're accomplished the high level of humanity. So this is the least a human being can achieve. But in the creation of human being, that was not the plan. The plan was for the human beings to achieve much higher level of qualities and attributes, and journey on the path of Kamal and sublimity. So what type of operation or what type of behavior would be a framework to kind of gauge the human sublimity? Is one of the most important questions. What are the attributes that we could say that after achieving, the human being is operating above the line and going high? So the important factor to consider here is that many of these attributes that comes as a result of revelations and epiphanies and sublimity, it's not something that it could be immediately evident. And you would see that individuals, and the individuals would just look very normal. But even though that they are um, achieve those specific qualities, they're not something that it's those attributes is not something that they can really show up. And a lot of individuals coming from outside of this knowledge, they would kind of look for a specific appearance like appearance level signs to kind of judge the individual's, let's say, spirituality. But that's not the case. So the sublime human being that achieves certain qualities that are internal, there's no way that they can really show it off. And that's one of the actually specifications of a Kamal oriented quality, is that the people can't really show it off. Like if someone achieves certain level of cosmic hamphazi, or lack of mind chatter, or um, being in peace with time and existence, is not like they can come out and say like, look at me, look um, how much cosmic Hamfazi I have, or how much I'm peace with time. It would be kind of sounding ridiculous even saying it. And that is something that becomes a little bit difficult for individuals to notice, or it becomes actually interesting because it challenges the individual's intention in the sense that are they looking for something that they can boost their ego, or are they really just looking for the truth and that uh, align orientation and alignment toward the natural laws. So the sublime human being has type of quality elevations internally, and that internal growth that it indicates their art in a way that it demonstrates the ability, the special ability of human being comparing to all the other creatures that would render them the significant creator, or that magnificent creation, that highest creation that uh, is capable of embodying the highest attributes. So the philosophy of human creation and the reason behind its presence and existence is not to just basically fulfill some homework and task descriptions. So on the apparent level, they kind of fulfill being a good human, but rather what causes God to be proud of such a creation is the quality, elevation, and sublimity in such a creation in an Erfanic journey that would help the individual surpass the task description and basic level of operation, and really getting to the highest level of qualities achievable by human beings in every level, expansion of their thoughts, their existence, their divine knowledge, their marifat, that causes them to really embody the magnificent creation, the highest creation. So, in another word, the human that achieves sublimity um, would not really be satisfied by just fulfilling the task descriptions and doing just their homework, but rather they're um, kind of going above and beyond only operating on a step of logic to avoid the bad things and doing the good things, but rather by incorporating an ishq-based operation and marifat, divine knowledge, to integrate those qualities and understandings, to have that transformation, to put together systematically their inner level with the help of God and this the connections, so that the eye of their heart will be open toward the truth that is infinite, and this expansion, that eternal expansion toward the mysteries and secrets of existence, to find the truth and the alignment toward the natural laws and purpose of creation would then render the human being as a highest creation, and they're able to embody it only that time. So all these transformation are internal and quality oriented and quality based, and for this reason no one can really show off with them, and not only an individual can just utilize them, but also the positivity consciousness that is emitted would positively impact the existence and other people around them. So the quality transformation that the sublime human achieves is the consequence of Erfanic motion, that in this section we kind of introduced some of them. So one of the consequence of Erfanic motion is the elevation of the quality of prayer and worship. One of them is to have the mind silence, to have control of the mind. Without controlling the mind, humans are the captive of the self. They're slaves of their mind, and in every moment, it is their mind that decides how they feel and what to think and where to go and what to decide and what to allow to come to their mind and transform them, what to imagine. what to consider and what to agree or not, in a way. So in this way, the majority of individuals' lifespan is wasted as a result, and this state would negatively impact any aspects of individuals' life, including their prayers, their relationship with the God, and also um, um, they're not able to achieve a high quality that is necessary in this experience of life. But the way in which the individuals can remedy that situation is the establishment of ittisal and connection with God, that it allows them to have the mental management and be able to have that inner transformation, this necessary quality transformation to allow them to have an appropriate foundation to be able to receive revelations and epiphanies, so that they would be transformed by those quality experiences. So this example, it shows the significance of this notion, but one truth is that the elevation of the quality of humans' actions has many different expansive um, dimensions. And it is important that by following some fundamental goals and understanding the divine knowledge and ma'rifat, uh, individuals become aware of the importance and seriousness of the um, this aim and this goal. Another topic we want to talk about is uh, the the fact that the Erfanic motion is a collective motion, and what that means is that um, the salvation is not an individual matter, but is a collective matter, and every seeker, every person that is journeying in the path of Kamal is responsible to help others in their journey of their sublimity and spiritual growth, and accompany them in their journey, and throughout the journey to help them, and um, do not avoid helping them in any level that they can. So individuals that would not pay attention to this importance and would not really share this um, divine rewards that they have with God are kind of negatively impacted by the self orientation, or more direct way would be narcissism. And they would be really ignorant of the fact that in order for them to ascend to the heights of the Kamal journey, they need to really have companies that if any would fall, then other could help them to get up and help them to get back on their journey. So, as we mentioned before, having individuals along the way in their phonic journey, it is resulted has resulted from the fact that the salvation and sublimity is a collective matter. But one of these important truth is that in the Erfanic journey, there is a very um, very close connection and relationship and deep relationship between all the human beings with each other. And there are really massive fields, communal and mutual fields, that it makes everyone connected to each other in a very deep way. All the human beings are like the cells of a big body, that the average growth and Kamal level of each individuals and their level of sublimity is determined by each other. So all of us is like birds in a net that is a closed net that we kind of like trapped in this net, and the higher we want to fly, uh, we are really dependent on the lower birds at the bottom of the net and how much they can come up. So in order for us to elevate and go higher, we need to help the lower birds to come higher. And there's this interrelationship between the birds and how high they can get, and the responsibility of the higher birds to help the lower birds. So each human being is a combination of many different parts that we discussed before, like various layers of existence, like bodies. And one of the most expansive and great layer of our existence is as vast as the totality of universe, which we talked about. It is a collective body, and it is mutual between and is shared and mutual between all the human beings, and it could be considered uh, as a singular spirit that um, it really affects every single one of us directly. So the average combination of all the emotions, understandings, thoughts of humanity would be going to this collective spirit, and it would be after reflected back and would determine quality growth of the entire population. And the seeker, no matter how successful they are in their own solo Erfanic journey, they always are limited by the other individual's sublimity level. And it is only through helping their um, marifat-based growth or divine knowledge growth or um, quality growth that the collective spirit's quality also elevates and can reach higher heights. So maybe by kind of emphasizing on these reasons, becomes it could be perceived that the seeker's invitation toward a collective motion, it has some sort of a narcissistic or self-centered or self-benefiting root. But the truth is that the individuals would achieve in their phonic journey to the understanding that not only um, they can't only see themselves, but also they need to really let go of themselves, become selfless, and only care about others. And then through this process, that understanding that comes in a Erfanic journey, they would prioritize other individuals' spiritual growth over themselves, and that kind of um, guides them toward decisions and um, approaches that is more oriented toward helping others spiritual journey than themselves. So the salvation is a collective matter. No matter how much an individual would be successful in their Erfanic journey themselves, they still be dependent on how high they can go based on the lowest hypothetical bird in the net. And the more help they give to the individuals at the bottom, the higher they can go. And this combination is um, kind of inviting individuals to also have a journey of selflessness, and having also that understanding that the more we share, the more we receive. And through all these different experiences, it somehow really emphasizes and proves in the fact that we are in fact the cells of one body and affecting one cells in a positive way would affect the entire body, and so on and so forth. So with that, let's talk about some details in terms of the collective spirit and the protective layer. This is based on a public announcement that Dr. Taheri uh, published in March, the 2nd of March of 2022, sorry, 2020. And he talks about, and at that day, it was pandemic, he opened access to for the individuals to open the cosmic Hamfazi Halghe in a collective spirit. So you guys receive collective cosmic Hamfazi Halghe in the first session, but tonight we're going to receive the protective layer so we can actually do it for collective spirit. And what that means is that when we open a Halghe in a collective spirit, the effect of it it becomes to that level in a very specific way. And this halqa is only for collective, it's only for cosmic Hamfazi halqa. And for other halqas, we will receive it in fifth course. So I would like to emphasize that this collective spirit halqa is related to cosmic Hamfazi only. So do not attempt to use any other halqas in a collective spirit, as those have their own protective layer. Now, in that public announcement, Dr. Taheri explains a little bit about the collective spirit, which is, he says that is a general term that he will be discussing more in depth later in the future courses, which contains discussions like the mind, the collective mind of whole, the collective mind of part, the cosmic mind, and also other subcategories like the memory of the collective memory of the whole, collective memory of the part, and cosmic memory. We will talk about that later in sixth course. There also he talks about in the collective spirit, the whole collective spirit. There are two types of connections and halves. One is general and one is um, specific. And the general halves are general, like all the general halves have one common and mutual protective layer, whereas the specific or special halgas that we'll be discussing in future courses has their unique protective layer exclusive to themselves. And halgas that will be discussed later in the fifth course, are among the general collective halgas. But the cosmic Hamfazi collective halga that we received tonight is among the special or specific collective halgas. So it is important to understand these differences. We will discuss more in depth in the future. The individuals are able to use this halga in a collective spirit. And the way that it operates is that it kind of gives this overall illumination to the general notion of cosmic ham fuzzy on a collective level. It doesn't mean that the cosmic ham fuzzy is being open for every individuals on earth, but rather the general notion and epiphanies and revelations associated with the existence of such a Halgeian connections and underlying implications would be accessible to the collective spirit for individuals to grasp and develop an inner knowing as they show enthusiasm, and that being reflected by a natural law of reflection, and so on and so forth. So it has this effect on a collective level that it makes the information more accessible subconsciously in the collective level as these information being reflected on a collective scale. So let's receive this halqa. So this is the protective layer for cosmic ham-fuzzy in collective spirit, and we will be back. If you have any questions, we will address them. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if there's no question, that is it regarding the theoretical material of this session. So I wish you a great night and see you next week if you don't have any question. Anyone? Any questions? Okay, so as you know, some of the classes or sessions are shorter than the others. We cover every material that is designated for each session, and the backup team do a great job of putting the topics in the videos of Dr. Taheri's in Farsi. So that is in the Farsi group. If you don't have access to them, you can, if you know Farsi, you can sign up and fill up the form for Farsi course and join the group, and then access those links uh, based on each session that we go through. All right, so thank you so much. That was it for the theoretical material of tonight, and I see you next week. Thank you. Thank you so much.